I am tired. I have been fighting to build this school for 3 years. Not only do I have to fight racism, I gotta fight people in the city of Wilmington who sabotage what I try to do. I don't know what the city of Wilmington's problem is. I don't know why black people gotta hate on each other. I don't bother nobody. I mind my business. I'm just trying to help our people. It's not my fault I'm so popular. It's not my fault.
Dr. Umar is now attributing his financial issues and the likely auctioning of his property by the city to racism. However, it's evident that since at least 2022, he's had consistent issues managing basic administrative tasks that most people can handle by simply keeping up with their financial responsibilities. Instead, he has spent much of his public life cultivating an online persona as the so-called Prince of Pan-Africanism.
We are fighting this war against FDMG and Dr. Umar Tunde. We may have to march on Delaware to let them know that you don't treat black people like this. Because if I was white, I wouldn't have been treated like this. If we were Asian, we wouldn't have been treated like this. We bought the campus we've been working on for 6.5 years. That if we don't pay the past due vacant property registration fees and outstanding utilities by the 25th of Black August, they will sell our campus.
As we respond to this clip, I've trimmed some of the repetition because it becomes excessive. Typically, when someone repeats themselves, it's to emphasize a key point. But in Umar's case, the repetition feels unnecessary and frustrating. Let's listen to how he explains the racism he believes is impacting the school project, despite his failure to meet financial obligations. According to the latest update, it seems like he's losing everything tied to the FDMG Academy.
This is the Prince of Pan-Africanism coming to you with a very important and unfortunate message. Brothers and sisters, as you know, last year we hosted the first annual FDMG Academy Family Festival. I want you to know that that festival almost did not take place last year. And the reason that festival almost did not take place last year is because of a young lady, a sister, who works in the special events office for the city of Wilmington, Delaware.
It's surprising this school situation is still ongoing. By now, it's clear the project is no longer viable. Umar has been promising this school since the Obama administration, and now it appears the city may legally auction the property. He claims he's in a battle, but the reality is the auction is a consequence of unpaid debts. The situation is simple. If you don't pay what's owed, the city has the authority to claim the property.
Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Peace and Pan-Africanism, peace and Pan-Africanism. Happy Leo season. Please hit your PayPal, paypal.me/FDMG Academy. Brothers and sisters, this is a special FDMG announcement. We are fighting this war against FDMG and Dr. Umar Tunde. We were supposed to get a refund within 4 days of our accounts being shut down. We still haven't got our refund. August the 5th, brothers and sisters, the city of Wilmington, Delaware, took out a notice to auction off the Frederick Douglass and Marcus Garvey Academy campus for unpaid vacant property registration fees. I repeat.
So, the city followed procedure and posted an official notice on the building, a legal document clearly attached to the door. Yet Umar's response is to criticize them for not contacting him directly. That's not how the process works. This is the same individual who has raised significant funds over the years and still has no functional school to show for it. No enrolled students, no operational certifications, and no progress.
Donations, gifts.
So, when the bills come due, what are we really discussing here? At what point do people decide to stop sending him money unless they genuinely support his commentary or attend his speaking events?
We're going to have a national Coons conference at FDMG. Yes, brothers and sisters, we have to have a national Coons conference. It only takes a little bit of white brainwash to activate the Coon chip.
Heterosexual couples only. This is not a government-funded activity. I have the right to discriminate. Heterosexual couples only.
But believing he'll actually build a school, how many more years will it take to show that he may not be qualified for this at all? And frankly, it seems like he was never truly committed. The fact that he's raised such a large amount yet still owes money says a lot.
Informing me that if we don't pay the past due vacant property registration fees and outstanding utilities by the 25th of Black August, they will sell our campus. Brothers and sisters, can I ask you a question? Why were we not notified that they were going to try to sell our campus? Brothers and sisters, why are they trying to sell our campus at the very moment that our accounts are frozen? Brothers and sisters, is it a coincidence? Is it a coincidence that the city of Wilmington is trying to sell properties that we own and have been working on continuously behind our backs? They were going to sell our schools behind our backs.
But none of this would be happening if the bills had simply been paid on time. When obligations arise, you meet them. A genuine community leader, someone responsible, who files paperwork, follows procedures, and keeps donors informed, wouldn't find themselves in this situation. Yet Dr. Umar continues making excuses, now claiming no one contacted him even though a legal notice was posted on the property. At this point, an auction isn't a first step. It's the last option after everything else fails. And the fact that he's portraying this as a conspiracy is troubling. At some point, when everything becomes this public, you'd expect some accountability. A moment where he'd acknowledge, yes, I've made mistakes.
They didn't even tell us that they were going to try to sell our schools. We received no notice in the mail. We received no phone calls at all that they were going to try to sell our schools. Instead, they put a notice on the door handle. Somebody stole one set of notifications and sent it to the YouTubian struggle streamers. Somebody stole the Frederick Douglass High School paperwork off the front door and sent it to the struggle streamers. I believe, brothers and sisters, and please let me know your opinion, I believe that they were going to sell the school, and they wanted to sell the school before we found out. We were not supposed to know that they were going to sell our school. Why do I say that? We were given no notification. Instead, they put a notice on the door. In a low-income neighborhood, they put a notice on the door with rubber band and masking tape.
Now he's claiming the council froze everything. So why is this happening? It's a calculated misdirection on his part. He wants people to believe that the reason the bills went unpaid and the school is now being auctioned is because the city or a bank froze his accounts and left him with no options. But the real question is, why would a bank freeze the accounts of a nonprofit in the first place? And let's be honest, he's probably going to bring race into the explanation. But freezes like that typically happen due to issues with compliance, things like unpaid taxes, unresolved debts, or questionable transactions. Account freezes are a result of deeper issues, not some grand conspiracy. And in his case, the warning signs have been there for years. If you've been keeping up with Dr. Umar's claims, something doesn't add up. He says his accounts are frozen, yet he continues asking for donations through PayPal and Venmo. That doesn't sound like someone who's completely locked out of financial systems. It sounds more like someone trying to avoid scrutiny. If he genuinely cared about transparency with his donors, he'd be sharing evidence, screenshots, communication logs, timelines, or any attempts to resolve the freeze. But instead, we're left with vague claims and emotional responses, which don't clarify anything. The nonprofit waiver issue still doesn't make sense in this context.
I had asked the city of Wilmington if they could retroactively apply our nonprofit waiver. According to the nonprofit waiver for the city of Wilmington, if you are a nonprofit organization, they will waive your vacant property registration fees for 4 years. If they would have applied our nonprofit vacant property registration waiver, we would owe absolutely nothing. But I asked them, and they ignored my emails for 4 months.
This is typical Umar, redirecting blame and framing himself as a victim. He neglects a standard process and then uses the resulting delay to paint himself as being unfairly treated. Yes, it's true the city does offer a nonprofit fee waiver. But what he doesn't mention or avoids admitting is that he failed to follow up for 4 months. He sent one email in April, received no response, and that was the end of it. There were no follow-up emails, no appointments scheduled, no legal filings, nothing. This is someone claiming to run a multi-campus institution, yet when one email goes unanswered, he gives up and waits passively. That's not leadership. It's a lack of responsibility. Even if the city had denied the waiver, he could have paid the fee and moved forward. Instead, he continues shifting blame to the city for issues that clearly stem from his own inaction. Again, as the one in charge of this project, he should be setting the standard, not deflecting accountability.
They ignored my phone calls for 4 months. They ignored our emails for 4 months. And instead, the first time I hear from them since April, no phone call, no email, nothing in the postal mail since April.
Do you have any actual evidence that this took place? Any documentation showing that you followed up for those 4 months? Did you visit in person? File anything through legal channels? Is there anything to support what you're claiming? Because right now, there's nothing being presented, not even a letter.
And the first thing we find out, the first time we hear from them since April, is a letter on the front door of the school, affixed with a rubber band and masking tape. Brothers and sisters, giving us 20 days to pay these back taxes. We already paid $30,000 for water that we don't even use. And now we got to pay another $30,000 for vacant property registration fees that we shouldn't even owe because we should have a waiver. And it gets worse, brothers and sisters. It gets worse because they are raising the vacant property registration fee. They are raising the vacant property registration fee this fall from $5,000 a year to $12,000 a year. Brothers and sisters, I want y'all to get ready for a protest. We may have to march on City Hall because of the racism. I'm gonna call it what it is, racism. Discriminatory treatment. Why did we get no notification that y'all were gonna sell our schools? Why did you not respond to any of our emails to retroactively apply our vacant property registration fee waiver? I knew they didn't want Dr. Umar in Wilmington. I didn't know it was this bad. I knew that the power structure. I'm not talking about the brothers and sisters in the community.
Let's pause and consider the broader picture. This man has been collecting donations internationally since 2014. He's had over 10 years to make progress on this school. He's announced multiple opening dates, gone on fundraising tours, sold merchandise, and traveled extensively giving speeches. Now it's 2025, and we're still being told there's a plot to stop him? A supposed conspiracy rooted in racism? That narrative is getting harder and harder to justify at this point.
But we didn't know they would go this far, as to ignore us for 4 months and try to sell the school behind our backs. So brothers and sisters, this is what we're going to do. We're going to fight like hell to get our money from the bank. We're going to pay off this vacant property registration fee waiver. And we might still have a protest at City Hall because this is wrong, brothers and sisters. I have emailed the mayor. I have gotten no response. I have emailed the chief of staff. I have gotten no response. I have emailed the city council president. I have gotten no response. So brothers and sisters, I'm going to meet with my team and we're going to decide if we're going to go ahead and have this protest. And it ain't going to be one. We're going to do multiple protests.
Can you actually present the documents you're referencing? Emails, forms, anything tangible to support your story? Or are you just asking people to protest over an issue that ultimately came from your failure to handle things properly?
And we're going to invite our donors and supporters from across the state of Delaware, our donors and supporters across the United States, and our donors and supporters across the entire planet. We may have to march on Delaware to let them know that you don't treat black people like this. Because if I was white, I wouldn't have been treated like this. If we were Asian, we wouldn't have been treated like this. If we were Arab, we wouldn't have been treated like this. If we were Jewish, we wouldn't have been treated like this.
Here's where Umar tends to shift gears. He starts becoming emotional and leans on themes like race, religion, and discrimination. It's a common pattern, whether he's online, being interviewed, or on a podcast. The problem is, the auction notice is a legal step that happens when bills go unpaid. Yet, he's presenting it as if it's part of some racially motivated scheme. But using that logic, if I don't pay my phone bill and the service gets shut off, should I blame systemic oppression? It just doesn't hold up. The reality is, This kind of defense only holds up if you've done everything by the book. If he had paid the bills, secured the necessary waivers, and handled all administrative responsibilities properly, and then received a notice on the door, that would raise valid concerns, because in that case, he would have done things correctly, filed the paperwork, managed funds, and stayed on track. But that's clearly not the case here. There are overlooked issues, missed filings, likely delays in construction, and the school still hasn't opened. Now, when the city steps in to address those failures, it suddenly becomes a case of racism. It feels more like emotional manipulation. Frankly, it's a disservice to the very community he claims to represent. Genuine Black leaders don't hide behind excuses after 10 years of unmet promises. Honestly, I had to look it up. How long does it actually take to build a school? I'm not sure, unless we're talking about a major university campus. But building a standard school in Delaware shouldn't take a decade, and from what I've seen, the city waited 6.5 years before taking any action. If this was sabotage, it's quite possibly the slowest sabotage in history.
But we were treated like this because we were black. How dare you ignore us for 4 months and then put a sign on our door without even telling us that you're going to sell our properties? We not going to give in. The only thing left on the elementary school is to lay down the tile. We going to lay down this tile.
And somehow, we're still laying down tile. I'll say that again. We're still at the tile stage. Let's not forget, this man has been raising global donations since 2014. And we're still laying tile? You don't need to be a contractor to know that tile work usually comes at the end. That means all the core elements, plumbing, electrical systems, inspections, should have already been completed. Yet, here we are. No working classrooms, no students enrolled, just more speaking engagements. From the start, it was the same pattern. I'll be in this city. I'll be in that city. Support via PayPal and Venmo. More speeches, more live streams, more tours, more donation requests. But still, no school. At some point, we all have to consider the real question. Was the goal ever to build a school, or just to keep promoting the idea of one? Yes, building a school requires funding, and he's certainly raised a significant amount over the years. But after collecting all that money, he failed to complete the necessary paperwork. And now, the property is likely headed for auction, simply because he never secured the certificate of occupancy.
Going to apply for our certificate of occupancy. We're going to lay down this tile, and we're going to apply for our certificate of occupancy. We're going to lay down this tile, and we're going to apply for our certificate of occupancy. And if we have trouble getting our inspection and certificate of occupancy, we will have to march. We will have to march. We might march anyway, brothers and sisters. We're not giving up. We're not giving up, brothers and sisters. We're not giving up. We need y'all to call the mayor of Wilmington, Delaware. We need y'all to call the mayor's chief of staff in Wilmington, Delaware. We need y'all to call the city council president of Wilmington, Delaware. We need y'all to call the commissioner of license and inspections of Wilmington, Delaware. We need y'all to call the vacant property office of Wilmington, Delaware, and demand we will sue the city of Wilmington, Delaware for racism and discriminatory treatment. This is your brother, Dr. Umar.
That's about where it ends. Honestly, it's pretty disappointing. 10 years with nothing to show for it. Now, instead of accepting responsibility, he plans to protest, call out the mayor, and organize marches, all because he didn't pay what was owed. The disconnect is obvious. After nearly 20 minutes of shouting, shifting blame, and asking for donations, the closing remarks are focused on his tour schedule. He mentions New Orleans, Hattiesburg, Alabama. It doesn't sound like someone fighting to save a school. It sounds like someone on a content tour, and likely, he'll keep using this outrage to fuel his brand. The Venmo, Cash App, and PayPal links will stay active, and he'll continue sharing bold and controversial takes to keep the audience engaged. At this point, Dr. Umar Johnson seems less like an educator and more like a media personality. He's not operating as a school founder or administrator. He's an entertainer, someone who earns money from speeches, makes provocative comments, adds a bit of humor, and keeps collecting donations from those still hoping the school will one day open. The reality is, you're not funding a school, you're funding him. And if that's what you're okay with, if that's what you choose to support, that's entirely your decision. But let's be honest about what's actually happening here. He's not creating meaningful change. He's not building anything of real substance. What he's doing is generating content, just like many of us in the YouTube space. What do you think about this situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Thanks for watching. See you next time, my brothers and sisters.